I knew I wasn't going to university, and by sheer luck I ended up working at a really iconic bar in Sydney called the Bayswater Brasserie. And even though I wasn't on the bar yet, I knew that the craft of the cocktail making and the camaraderie just all seemed very exciting, and I was in from then. Back in around 2009, when I was working at the Victoria Room, we had a really strong culture of going to every single training and having to enter every competition. It's basically a hard rule about it. And Club Suntory really stuck out to me as one of the kind of most valuable trainings that we used to go to back then. The first time I ever entered Bartender of the Year, Club Suntory was the sponsor, and I made the top 20, and I was the only girl, and very, very intimidated by the lineup, who looking back now is full of legends, but it really lit a fire under me. I was really excited to kind of keep going and practicing my craft for next year. The next year that I entered Bartender of the Year, I made top 10. I was the second woman ever to make the top 10 for that competition, which was a huge achievement. I still hold it as one of the highlights of my bartending career. It really gave me the confidence to believe that I belonged in the industry. One of the most exciting things I got to do with Suntory was actually judge the Suntory Cup. So we went up to their offices in Sydney. It was me and Natalie Ng, and we made every single cocktail that had been entered from all around Australia and had to try every single one of them. It was a very long day. One of the cocktails that really sticks out in my head was called the fruit salad, and it was Midori and every single colour in the Suntory liqueurs range shaken with 15 mils of lemon juice. It was really beautiful, like muddy green purple colour. Don't remember who won that competition, but definitely remember some of the bad ones. I think one of my favourite things about the Club Suntory sessions is that they were just fun. It wasn't being spoken at or lectured for an hour. They were really interactive. You got to get in there, make drinks, and just, everybody had a really nice vibe. It was just a really exciting time to work in the industry back in the day. There was, the internet was obviously a thing, but it's not like everybody had a profile and was travelling all the time doing bar takeovers like they are now. It was really exciting to get to go to a training and have somebody, of note come to your bar and teach you about things. And we all felt really special to be able to take part in that stuff. Some of the leaders of Club Suntory back in the day, like Nigel Weisbaum or Hayley Morrison, had a huge impact in my career. They've always been my biggest cheerleaders, made a real difference, helping me network, offering me opportunities, and yeah, they've really influenced my career, bartending and beyond. I think there can be a focus on hospitality sometimes, that it's, boring tasks behind the bar or really focusing on the drinks, but the really exciting bit about it is the friends that you make, the places it'll take you. I've got lifelong friends that I met behind the bar, and I've travelled all over the world from prizes, from winning competitions, etc. It's, a super exciting industry to work in, but beyond the shift that you do behind the bar every day. I think a lot of people, when they enter competitions like the Suntory Cup, focus way too much on winning. Like, yeah, that prize is great, but there's so much to be gained through the process of actually taking part in the competition. There's so many opportunities beyond just making that perfect drink. There's soft skills like learning to present, networking, you'll make friends from all over the world, and, raising your own profile, which who knows where that could take you. When I entered competitions like Suntory Cup, I always loved the creative process of coming up with these fancy drinks, but really, in my memory, the best parts were always that crowd engagement, presenting, making people laugh, and that's what I do behind the bar. I'd really love to see an element in future competitions where that could be judged, what we do every day, making people feel at home, hospitable, and have a good time. When I first moved to London, I was cocktail waitressing and then took another job that was at the bottom of the rank to start learning to bartend, and I think I really paid my dues over there. I worked in nightclubs, I worked in kind of some really high volume bars where you had to learn to do round building and had to learn to be really quick, and I think those are really important, super important skills that set you up for being a great bartender for the rest of your life. When I first moved to Perth, I judged Mitch in a cocktail competition long before he was the Suntory ambassador. It was French themed, I think, and he was wearing a Daft Punk helmet, and he shook his cocktail in a giant Eiffel Tower cocktail shaker, which he then could not get the lid off, but he was hilarious and charming, and honestly we just ended up being kindred spirits behind the bar at Dominion League. If I had to describe Club Suntory in 3 words, it would be camaraderie, support, and Midori. Be part of the legacy. Join Club Suntory.